Good morning, guys. Um, Today I wanted to talk about pets. We, within the last year, got a new dog. We have cats that are farm cats. And for those of you who haven't thought about it, I wanted to bring up ways that you can feed your pets to keep them healthier and to also give you something to feed them should pet food not be an option anymore. First off, I want to mention some things that I've noticed about my cats when they're on dry cat food. When we had our little cabin on Airbnb and we had a lot of people coming through, at that point we were feeding them as we normally do. We were giving them bones from animals, we were giving them meat scraps from our own meals, and we were cooking them eggs as their diet. And then we had people come in from Airbnb that looked at our cats, and because they couldn't see a bowl of cat food on the ground, they were concerned about their welfare, and they made kind of, they were concerned. Some of them were very cat-loving, middle-aged women that were kind of hard to appease. So we started to buy them commercial cat food. And when we closed the Airbnb down, we never really stopped feeding them commercial cat food. But what we noticed was that this winter, when they were on commercial cat food instead of their normal bones and meat scraps and eggs, they had a kind of I'm not sure what the right expression is. They couldn't breathe. They seemed to just have almost an asthma. They were scrawny looking with a really full belly. We did worm them to make sure that that wasn't what was wrong with them, but they just failed to thrive this winter. And again, most winters we just feed them from the homestead. So, hello Village Setter, hello Detroit Redneck. You're welcome for what I do. I hope it's helpful. So I'm just gonna simply say what it is that we've done and some of the trends right now that are going on pet food production and in creating vibrant health in your animals. Now, it used to be, back before they made the dry kibble type dog food, that dogs were fed on horse meat. And you could actually go down to the butcher and buy a pound of horse meat, put it in your fridge, and then ration it out to your animals throughout the week. And that's how pet animals were fed. Very simple and very inexpensive, because it didn't used to be illegal to butcher horses, and anytime there were old horses that used to be used on the farm, they would go to the butcher instead of being just buried and wasting that meat. Exactly. And that's been our finding. DNR Homestead said, "Good morning, Dirt Patch. Commercial pet foods are shown to cause cancer with the wee fellows. Most dog foods actually contain stuff like garlic, which they can't eat." Hi, Jean Marie. So our neighbor is one of the people who's had that happen to him. He has lost so many dogs over the years. They'll get I don't know if I can show you our dog, but they get brittle coats, they get itchy skin, they grow tumors, things like that. And we've seen 2 of his dogs since we've lived here, and that's been the case with his dogs, is that normal dry pet food has caused them distress and cancer and itchy skin. So I don't know if you guys have seen like the raw diet food that a lot of people are talking about right now for their pets, that they'll actually give them a whole carcass of a rabbit if they have a big dog, and that they'll eat the bones and everything. And we don't do that, just because the cost of raising a meat rabbit from baby to being able to be butchered is pretty high. That's a pretty expensive dog food. You can do that if you're already raising rabbits really efficiently and you have a steady stream of customers that can buy your rabbits. Then at that point you can probably justify, because the money that you're making, you can justify just feeding whole rabbits to your dogs and your cats. But that's not what we do. What we will do is that when we butcher an animal for our family, If it's a small animal, the cats, not the dog, the cats get the internal organs and the head and the feet to chew on. But they eat the internal organs and they do really well on that. On when we have a really big animal, what John likes to do, what he did this last 2 times, was that anything that came off the animal that we didn't want to eat ourselves, that he wasn't going to put into sausage, he'd put it into little quart bags, put it in the freezer, and then mark it cat or dog food. As far as pigs go, we did not feed the cats or the dog raw pig internal organs or meat. We always cook whatever we're going to feed to our animals from a pig. But I think for everything else, we pretty much give it to them raw. The nice thing about this on your homestead is that if you have carnivores that are allowed to eat gut piles and things like that, is that you don't have a lot of other predators coming on your property because your own animals are cleaning things up and they're already trained to not eat the animals on your property. Our cats won't eat our chickens. They won't eat our rabbits unless we hand them to them. And they've been trained not to do that. With our dog, let's see. For those of you who are concerned about having animals around your livestock, about having your, what happens if you're feeding your cats and your dogs on these animals? Does that teach your cat and your dog that they can eat these animals? So for our cats, they already know they're not allowed to eat stuff like that. But for our dog, we've had him since January. He came as a puppy, and we kept him in the house most of the time. And whenever he was off leash, we had him in a particular place where there were no animals. The rest of the time, he was on leash, and we didn't let him outside by himself. And when we did let him go back where the animals were, he was on leash. We saw that he did have a tendency to want to attack and kill chickens. And so we just kept him away from those areas until he was a little older. He's about 9 months now. And what we have is this is a vibrating, also it has a vibrating stimulation, a vocal stimulation, and then a shock stimulation. And we're using this right now. And he really only needed to be corrected 3 times with the chickens. And we corrected him in that the minute he looked at them and started towards the chickens, that's when he would get corrected. And now, after 3 corrections that were actually with the shock feature, we pretty much only use the vibrate one. He recognizes what it is. He recognizes he's done something wrong. And so now he can run free when we're out there. We never leave our dog out with animals by himself. That's asking for trouble, and it's not fair to the dog. But now whenever he's out with us, he doesn't even have to wear this anymore because he knows not to. He knows not to go after the animals. Detroit Redneck said soy protein filler makes the hair fall out. See, and I don't know what it is about them, but I do know that whenever we put the cats on it, over the course of the years, we've had small periods of time where we felt like the cats just needed a little bit more than what we were giving them. And we bring in a cat food and it would make them sick. Their eyes would get gummy. They'd have a hard time breathing. Their little bellies would expand. And they didn't have the energy to go hunt mice when we did that. So what our neighbor has done is he has put his dog on a very expensive meat kibble, one that doesn't have grains in it, a grain-free meat kibble. I have no idea how much he spends on that, but it is pricey just because of I've seen the prices of what I see at like the vet for meat free or for grain free, and I see that you're spending a lot of money for a small bag of food, but his is on like a really special one, so I don't know how much it is. Let's see. DNR Homestead said soy proteins gave humans the runs back when the federal government made restaurants use the oil. Yeah, they quickly yeah, and wasn't there like, what was that called? Soy, well, I don't remember what it was called. It was when they used on potato chips, and yeah, it made people really sick. Prairie Girl and Cowboy Homestead said, good morning, good info. We have bought dog and cat food a few times that they won't touch. They can tell it's bad. Yeah, well, it's kind of like us. For those of you who don't know how they make our food, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take an inferior product and they'll put a lot of additives in it and a lot of colorings and a lot of flavorings so that we'll still eat it, but that it's not premium food. And pet foods are full of fillers. They're full of, like, my understanding, when it says animal protein, you don't know what animal protein that is. You don't know what it came from, what part of the animal it came from. And while there's nothing wrong with your animal eating bones and meat and everything, you really don't want it to be rancid, and you want it to come from a healthy animal. So, thank you, Anastasia. Village Setter said grain-free has proven to be something. I did go into my vet once and ask them, and one vet said that they only feed grain-free, and another vet said that they won't feed grain-free because it's supposed to harm the heart of the animal. And so there you go. There's the opinions. For our family, what it is that we feed our cats is that when we have a glut of eggs, we'll make the cats scrambled eggs, because we have a glut of eggs. We have more eggs than we can use. And so we'll make scrambled eggs for the cats. And then anytime we have a butchering, they're allowed to eat the guts, and they're allowed to eat any parts that we don't happen to want to eat ourselves. And then, of course, the cats are free range. They can go where they want to go. They can eat mice and birds and things like that, etc. Hill Country Prepper, hello, hello. And then for the dog, he's allowed, we do give him bones. It's better to give your dog raw bones, because my understanding is that with chicken bones, you're concerned about their digestive tract when you give them chicken bones as if it's been cooked, because then instead of them being able to just grind down on the bone and pulverize it, with cooked chicken bones, it can break and shard. And that's the kind of bone that you're concerned about. You're okay, honey. Just grab your breakfast. Oh, so this is one. So this is one. Paige made a lamb.
Legs.
Yeah, this is lamb, and she saved it. Graham, did you want this? Here, right here. I'll see if I can get him to put his head up so you can see his nose. Do you want it? No, he knows not to jump up on the table. There you go. The treats and the bones and stuff that they have preserved at the pet store, we have found that for our dog, his belly thinks that it's glue. He doesn't do real well with the rawhide and that kind of thing, but he does really, really well with what comes from our homestead. Yeah, Prairie Girl said, good to hear someone else scrambles eggs for them. Hey, good morning, Watchman. Yeah, that's what Village Setter said. Grain-free is bad for the heart. And we've had one vet that said exactly that. They said grain-free means that their heart is not as in good shape when they get to the end of their lives. And another one that said, well, we only feed grain-free. And I think it really depends on your pet. If you have a food that is very healthy for them and they thrive on it, then stick with what you're already doing. Okay, honey, you're not going to be able to put stuff up. Go get your hair done. Go get it brushed so I can braid it, okay? Go ahead. Quick.
I was just trying to go.
I know you're doing a good job. Just go brush your hair really quick. Tell Dad I need him to get up though. So at least for me, the way I think about this is I would like to see my animal be in good, vibrant health for as many years as they can be in good, vibrant health. And then once they get to an age where heart problems would be an issue, I think that it's my own, this is my own personal speaking about my own personal pets, is that I would rather see them pass away from something like heart issues than to live into further years where they're suffering a lot. Does that make sense? I'd rather see my pets have vibrant health, pass away at a normal age, rather than become geriatric and start to suffer. One of our dogs, she was around with us a very long time, but for the last 2 years of her life, she really struggled. She just was not the same dog that she had been before, and she was suffering. So Andrea Blue said, good morning. Your daily news is so much better than what's going on in the world. I feel that a little bit. I've been a little bit addicted to the news feed lately, which is not a good thing. So Fear the Honey Badger said, some years ago, pets were dying in huge numbers from pet foods using Chinese components. True. Also baby foods. I mean, they did have baby foods that were contaminated. So I guess what I'm saying is the research that I've done in wanting to have my pets be healthy and happy, I've looked into the raw food movement, which is raw whole animals. I don't give my dog internal organs. Maybe I should, but I don't give my dog internal organs. I leave that to the cats because they live outside. If they have a higher parasite load, I'm not as concerned about that. I do still deworm my cats on a regular basis, but with my dog, I don't give him internal organs just because I'm a little bit of a wuss that way. I want to protect my actual home and my carpet and everything from that kind of thing. So I'm probably wrong in that. But one thing that we noticed when we got Graham, his name is Graham. I don't know if I can show him to you. I can try. There he is. When we got Graham and he got home from the shelter, his stomach was upset by everything. We couldn't even give him a different kind of treat from the pet store because he would start to vomit very shortly thereafter, give him diarrhea. You couldn't give him even the tiniest piece of anything in the kitchen because it would make him so sick. And so what ended up happening is that he would go out on his daily walks with us off leash in our safe area, he would go and he would find goose poop, or he would find chicken poop, or he would find fun dirt or something interesting to chew on. And the more we let him off leash to go to any part of the property that he wanted to, that's what he would do. He would eat goose poop and he would eat all sorts of our animal poop. But what happened was he stopped vomiting. As he got the bacteria into his system from these animals, he stopped vomiting. All of a sudden, he has like this cast iron stomach that, as long as it isn't chemically laden or poisonous, he can eat just about anything. And he hasn't been with us that long. And we found, I think it was like 6 weeks after we got him, we noticed that you could give him a little piece of cheese from the kitchen. He could eat some lamb fat and not throw up, where before anything like that, and he'd be running from both sides. He'd be vomiting and pooping on everything. And now we've had him for 5 months. He can eat bones. He can, and he just doesn't get sick anymore unless he overeats. If he overeats, then he'll throw up a little bit. But his digestion has really improved by acting like a normal animal, not being in a cage. He wasn't really allowed outside very much at the shelter, and he was a puppy, so he didn't have other animals to play with. So I don't know if it was because his immune system wasn't strong enough because he hadn't been exposed to enough things. But once he got here and had been here with us for a few weeks, he stopped getting sick like that. Christian Hansen, good morning. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Amanda said, so funny. Our dogs love cow poop. Blah. My dogs are super healthy. Yeah. And our dog is the same. We have much less poop on the ground than we used to before he got here because he loves it, cleans it up, but it doesn't make him sick. That being said, because we allow him to do that, not that we could stop him, but because we don't make an effort to keep him from doing that, I do deworm him about every 3 months. I watch for him to be itchy, for him to kind of be biting at his tail and things like that. And then if he starts to look like maybe he has a worm load, then I will deworm him. The dewormer I use for my cats is diatomaceous earth and black walnut tincture. For Graham, we use
commercial dog.
We went and got some from our vet to give to him. And that's what we do. So Miss American Freedom asked what deform, I think she means dewormer, do you use? And that's what we use. Diatomaceous earth, our own homemade black walnut and wormwood tincture. And then I use a different dewormer, an herbal dewormer for the goats, again, just because they don't live in the house. I worry a little bit more because Graham is in the house. We watch for him to be scratching his butt on the floor. all these things.
We're trying to.
And then we deworm him.
Can I show you my
Happy
cheese
Dingus
seeds?
Day to all the Polish people watching. Okay, I did not know that was a thing. What?
Can I show you my cheese seeds?
Well, sure. Yeah, you can show it too. Okay, so Paige just taught a class of girls how to plant garden seeds, and she wants to show you the chia.
I also have an okra seed that's coming up, but
Okay, Miss America Freedom says, would love a video on dewormer routine when it comes. I've already made one. It's a long time ago, though. It's like 2014, 2015. If you look up Dirtpatcheaven medical kit or Dirtpatcheaven dewormer or worming, that kind of thing, you should be able to find it. I don't know if I'll I never remember. I never remember that I'm supposed to go back in and add cards. Anastasia said, have you considered psychological reasons for your dog? I mean, he's happy with you, so Phil's and is healthy now. He has a family. Well, I do think that makes a difference, but it was a thing for him that the types of food that made him sick, anything that wasn't commercially sterilized, anything that wasn't in a package made him absolutely sick. So that like for 3 days we had to like run him. The second he started to whine, we had to run him outside, make sure he made it. We had to go buy one of those little carpet shampooers because everything made him sick. And even some of the stuff in the packaging, like the big raw, but not rawhide, the big knuckle bone type things that are dehydrated and in the store at the pet store. They're not rawhide.
I think they called it a T-Rex bone.
Yeah, T-Rex bone or something.
It was a horse.
It was a horse or a dog bone
Or a cow.
that was dehydrated. And when he chewed on that, he just vomited, and it looked like he had string in his stomach. It was obvious it was really hard on him, but he can eat normal raw bones just fine. Okay, I need to go braid my kid's hair because she's going to keep moving no matter what I do. And you guys are going to be able to hear it. Yeah, KFG said commercial food is loaded with feathers. Yeah, exactly. It's considered protein. And in fact, feathers are high in protein and they're high in nitrogen. You can put them in your hotbeds. You can put them in your compost. But yeah, probably shouldn't be the majority of your dog's diet. Well, he chews on the meat part when we cut the wing off. He doesn't chew on the feathers and stuff, so he doesn't eat that. All right, so I got to go do some hair. I don't know. If nothing else, just start thinking about if you were in an emergency situation where you could not afford or could not find commercial pet food, you might want to start doing a little bit of research on making pet food for your animals that won't make them sick. And something to think about. The self-heating hotbed greenhouse plans are on my Etsy store. Also, the rabbit, pig, goat, and chicken books, if you guys haven't seen those yet. And we'll talk to you later.